Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I managed to dodge COVID successfully for a week while taking care of Pancake. We were fortunate in the sense that we actually had two bathrooms, so we don't have to share places. I have a small little kind of den-like room where I can sleep in as well, so we managed to isolate reasonably well, and I got a bit of a scratchy throat, maybe a tiny bit run down. Not too bad overall, so I'm happy about that. Pancake is kind of basically up and at it again. She managed to go back to work today, so things are looking good. But with that being said, I want to talk about the My Hero Academy collab that has just arrived in North America. So this is a debut event, and generally speaking, I am a fan of debut events because, at least for the first couple of roles, they should be new cards. And generally speaking, new cards at least give you the possibility of being able to plug in or fill holes in your monster box or address mechanics you may have not necessarily been able to do so, because generally speaking, no two cards are completely identical. There's at least a little bit of variance or differences, and some may be a little bit better in one situation and others better in another. But with that being said, I want to take a look at the cards that are at least a bit more notable in the event right now. So from a rolling point of view, the rolling odds are definitely not in your favor, and is that really surprising? Not really, because, that's just kind of how collabs work. They're usually top-heavy affairs, and the 5-star cards, they all at least have weapon assists, but none of them are super magical, aside from maybe the one that gives you a button active skill. Buttons are always nice with a skill boost, so yay to that. But I feel 73+% of the rolls are just gonna be sad, which is similar to what Star Wars was, but at least for Star Wars I at least have a bit more personal attachment to, because I actually understand the characters a bit better. But I feel from a rolling point of view, I don't think it's necessarily worth rolling it. There's not really that many great cards available, and we are fortunate in the sense that all the 7-star cards are actually monster exchangeable, and they only cost 5 6-star Godfest exclusives, which is one of the lowest trade costs we actually can have. So if any of the 7-star cards are appealing to yourself and you did manage to roll them from a couple of free rolls we had, or maybe a couple of stone rolls you did, monster exchanging may be your best course of action. So the first one I look at is Endeavor's Weapon Assist. I feel Endeavor's just kind of awkward to use in their other forms, their Evolve form. You disable your own active skills for 3 turns, so you're cool, I do one thing kind of nice for a turn, and I'm just awkward for a while. You get the whole board to fire, so yeah, one big swipe for explosive damage, but I don't think it's going to work well. If this active skill doesn't nuke your own actives, maybe it could be strong, because Double Blob is huge personal multiplier with the combo orbs, with super resists. It's not bad if there's red blob teams, but there's not really red blob teams at this point in time, and their transforming state, they do have the combo orb, they do have some personal damage, but nothing truly special or spectacular. So I feel if you are getting Endeavor, it's for the weapon assist. And the weapon assist gives you a combo orb, which is becoming a much more popular playstyle in all honesty, and 80% blind resist. So just right there, if you have a combo orb based team, this is going to be a meaningful weapon assist if you can't address blind resist. Yes, the fire row is obviously better on fire teams, but it's just one wasted awakening, and combo orbs are still reasonably rare from a weapon assist point of view, so it's not a bad thing to necessarily have. And the active skill itself is also useful. It's at least a full cleric active skill, clearing bind, awoken bind, unmatchable, and it does change column to fire orbs, so obviously you want to try and make sure you can utilize them in some way, but there are instances where you probably could avoid overcharging it, or if it does overcharge, there's chances at the beginning of the dungeon, there's sometimes repeated floors where it's some floor is unmatchable, another floor has Awakening Bind clear. You can clear them because your primary cleric may not be able to do all of it on their own, so maybe supplemental, or maybe just don't let it overcharge. I think it's a reasonable weapon assist. Would I monster exchange for it? I don't feel I really would. It's hard to say. Maybe combo orbs make a big surge in relevance, but it's hard to say if that's going to happen. The next notable card is All Might, and All Might is going to have the most value in this form for rainbow teams. So they have 4 attack while below 50%, so that is 16 times personal damage, with a 10 combo Super Awakening, which becomes 80 times personal damage. That is a great number overall, and quite a large attack stat, so they're definitely a great candidate for double damage capping on their main attribute. Their sub-attribute can deal respectable amounts of damage as well, so don't discredit the extra billion potential there. From the active skill point of view, it's a 2-turn cooldown, and if your health is below 20%, you get 1 turn of this card getting 10 times personal damage, so pretty good chance the sub attribute is actually going to double cap as well. So a quad capping card is pretty spicy every other turn. And then you get one turn of Void, Damage Void. And this is why it's useful for rainbow teams, because you can ignore those VDP shields. You don't have to have VDP Latent or other active skills to rely on. And it's a 2-turn cooldown, so it's going to come up every other turn. And then on top of that, you get one turn of damage absorption and attribute absorption cancellation. This is a 2-turn cooldown on a non-transforming card. It's jam-packed with value overall. And of course, the biggest drawback is, you have to be below 20% health, but there are a couple of workarounds you can actually utilize. A couple of options would be Gung-Ho Loki in his dark form, because it's a 1-turn cooldown with the 100% defense break, which can be potentially situationally helpful, but it's reducing your health to 1. And also, Gung-Ho Loki does feature the same offensive awakenings in terms of 10 combo for attack while below 50%, which is 80 times personal damage, which is great as well. So again, another hard-hitting card. If there are God-type spawns, they're just obviously going to melt away. So if you have Gung-Ho Loki or you have Mashiro, which is a transforming card, so they can't double cap, but again, 1-turn cooldown that cuts your health to 1 and gives you a full rainbow board with a 1.5 times attack buff for the card. Basically, All Might needs something to set up this active skill. And if you can set up this active skill on a regular basis, he's going to give you great value overall for those rainbow teams who can't really deal with void spawns as easily. Maybe you can make arguments for mono light teams if there are mono light teams that don't rely on VDP, but I feel like it's just going to be better at this point in time for rainbow. And again, that Jammer Surge is nice overall. The next monster exchangeable card, and the last one, is All for One. So All for One is a transforming card. So they need 15 turns to transform initially, and then they get you Dark Skyfalls, and then they become a double dark combo matching leader. They have triple 10 combos, so their sub-attribute will actually deal meaningful amounts of damage. VDP, Super Jam Resist, 2 time extends, or super time extends. And then this active skill is interesting. It gives you 1 turn of an attack and RCV buff for each instance of attacker, devil, or machine on the team. So All for One by himself already provides all 3 of those typings. And let's say hypothetically you're able to build a team with 10 of these typings on the team, which is not an outrageous idea. Like All for One already brings 3, so you need 7 across 5 other cards. I think that is actually doable, and I'm just going to use 10 total to make my math easier in my head. So with 10 total cards of this type, you can get a 2 times attack and RCV buff. That's actually quite respectable on a 2-turn cooldown, and you also change light to dark orbs. You don't make hard orbs, which is obviously a bit of a drawback, but at least you are able to give yourself the orb generation necessary to, trigger your leader skill. And their leader skill gives you 1.9 times HP for each instance of devil, attacker, and machine type cards. So your health is higher than your RCV, so healing may be a little bit more strained, especially considering the fact that All for One has no damage reduction, so it's all health. So things like Gung-Ho Belial are obviously going to be quite meaningful because she at least is a healing stick, and she has at least 1 typing if I'm not mistaken, so that does give her a bit of an edge in that aspect there. But I feel like All for One would pair better with other double 2 dark combo based leaders such as Blackbird, because Blackbird is 70% damage reduction from his leader skill. So All for One, let's say again we get 10 typings total. You have 1.9 times HP. It's not the greatest, unfortunately, but you do have this 70% damage reduction for Blackbird. So unless you're able to squeeze in many cards with the typings, your effective health isn't going to be that high. But at least with Blackbird pairing, you do get super blind resist with Blackbird, super jammer from All for One, so that's a bit of a nice overlap there. The 10 combos synergize of Blackbird's active skill. Every other turn you will have heart orbs being made. Every turn you get dark orbs generated. You have an RCV buff every other turn as well, so that may kind of somewhat offset the fact that you're a bit heavier on the health side potentially. But overall, I feel like this is a respectable leader if you don't have other options. And then it comes to this point of, should I monster exchange for All for One? If I have, say, all the cool Blackbird subs, but no Blackbird or no, other strong alternative to pair with Blackbird. You could make those arguments that, sure, it could potentially work if you have the trade fodder and the means to do so, but you have to remember, you're trading for an inferior leader overall. They still can clear content, I'm sure of that, but it's just weaker overall, and that's definitely going to be a big drawback when I think about it. The fact that you have to trade 5 6-star Godfist exclusives is definitely a bit of a drawback overall. For the weapon assist, it's actually reasonable. You get a skill boost, an L, and an enhanced dart combo. A unique combination overall, and it's a 3-turn delay with 2 turns of void, damage, void. So, and then 3 times attack for dark for 2 turns. So, like, it's actually a reasonable weapon assist overall. So, I guess a nice saving grace can be is you can use all for one in their base transforming form. You don't have to invest heavily because, you know, transforming cards don't take double damage caps. They don't get super limit broken. Relatively low resource investment. And then since it's already at max level, you just evolve it to the weapon assist when you have no more use for it. And then you have a delay with a skill boost. So 4 effective skill boosts is actually not a bad thing for a weapon assist. But again, I feel like if you're trading just for the leadership potential, it will probably get outdated reasonably fast. But you know, it's a reasonably low trade cost. But those are the 3 Monster Exchange cards. And, like, I think All Might is definitely the star of the show for sure. For, like, I guess, like, a bit more notable 6-star cards that, like, I was able to pick out. Like, some of the 6 stars I may not mention may have some value, but it's a bit more sparse, I'd say, compared to Star Wars in terms of mid-rarity. Deku's support item, which comes from a name I cannot pronounce, is a skill boost and 2 turns haste with 4 turns of a wood attack buff and 4 enhanced wood orbs. So, skill boost 2 haste is really still a useful weapon assist. Like, if you are playing a mono wood team or a team that converts wood orbs into your primary color, this weapon assist can be meaningful if you didn't need resists or health or whatever it may be. Because, you know, passive damage is great, transforming faster is always nice, but again, if I roll it, cool. If I don't, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. And then the last card I feel like that has some standout mention is Todoroki. In their evolved form, they have a 9-turn cooldown with 3 turns of damage absorption cancellation, unlocks the board, and creates fire, water, and hard orbs. Like, I remember back in the day when a tricolor board changer was about a 9-turn cooldown if it included hard orbs. And now we get a board unlock and 3 turns of damage absorption cancellation. Like, we've come so far when we really think about it from a power creep point of view. And from their awakenings and like their colors, they're great for Seawolf or Prim teams because their main attribute will deal significant amounts of damage with 4/7 combos. Their sub attribute will actually still do meaningful amounts because, you know, you're matching water as well for those teams. And they can have up to 4 skill boosts or 2 skill boosts and super jam resist. They get a single cross awakening to clear sticky blinds. It's a pretty useful card overall that can definitely double damage cap. And their leader skill is 7/6, so your Prim based teams, because you need 7/6 to swap Prim in, can actually take advantage of this individual here. So if you do roll them, I feel like they would be a nice addition to your Seawolf and Prim teams. And their transforming form obviously can't double damage cap, but they have a 3-turn cooldown that gives you 2 turns of damage absorption. So maybe there's a dungeon that has damage absorption all the time. This evolving, transforming part here can actually potentially be meaningful, but the lack of bigger personal damage, I feel like, is a bit of a drawback compared to their potential evolved form. And with that being said, I'm not super interested in many of the other cards. I feel like My Hero Academy is just an event that I'd roll very lightly in, and then Monster Exchange for All Might probably, because, like, you know, it's good to have strong rainbow options, because I do at least have a Gung Ho Loki on my main account, so that might give myself some options in the future. But with that being said, let me know what you think about the My Hero Academy in the comments down below. Do you think it's actually worth rolling in? And if you did roll, was it a successful time? Regardless of all that, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.